We have just got the new budget for 2021. This is the first budget after the pandemic and also the first budget for this new decade. Clearly, there are huge expectations from this budget. And you can look at the budget in so many different ways. But looking at it from clean air perspective, it is very encouraging to see continued focus on funding clean air action in million-plus cities. But the budget has also put a spotlight on some critical strategies that have strong bearing on air quality and low carbon growth. These include augmentation of public transport, scrapping old vehicles, and even waste management. But among them, the one critical strategy that we want to reflect on today is about augmenting public transport. This will have to be leveraged for green recovery post-pandemic. Therefore, we are very happy. And in fact, we were really eagerly waiting for something to come, a bailout package, particularly for the public transport sector. And now that we have got it, so the budget has launched schemes to support augmentation of public transport services with a promise of operating and maintaining about 20,000 buses at a cost of 18,000 crore. The scheme will facilitate deployment in public-private partnership mode, and that model will be adopted to enable private sector players to come in to finance, acquire, operate, and maintain the fleet. And to this is also added the plan to expand the metro and other light rail systems. Now, why are we excited about this? And what does it really mean, especially for the bus sector, as we are emerging out of one of the most devastating pandemic? You may recall that how public transport was nearly decimated. It had nearly collapsed during the pandemic. There are so many evidences now. In fact, a survey of 14 state transport undertaking that was carried out by International Association of Public Transport, it shows that about 81% of operators had reported absolutely no ridership at all during the lockdown phases. There were others who have reported about 90% reduction in ridership from the pre-COVID levels. There was huge additional burden of safety protocol for hygiene, for social distancing requirement, and that had imposed huge costs on bus operation. But at the same time, we know there are huge legacy problems in that sector. In fact, ironically, when travel demand is exploding in our cities, the state transport undertaking, the bus transport corporations, they are in red. I mean, there is already a legacy burden of economic losses. In fact, the net losses of SRTUs, the state transport undertaking, I mean, that had grown so rapidly between 2010 and 2016. In fact, the available data shows from different studies that it has escalated by about 48%. At the same time, the traffic revenue has plummeted. So how do they even make the basic investment to improve? And during pandemic, because of the worsening of the situation, all of this has added to the pressure of annual viability gap funding requirement that has also increased by another 69%. Without this bailout strategy in the new budget, I mean, India could not have made public transport work. We needed this strategy to make public transport revival a critical part of clean air and low carbon growth path. Without it, India cannot even meet the big requirement, the big target for bus fleet that the country requires, somewhere around 188,000 buses as per the estimates of the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development. We also know that this is needed so critically because pandemic disruption, poor bankability of state transport corporations, limited revenue sources, and disproportionate share of transport related funding that goes into road infrastructure. All of these have made investment in public transport modernization a big challenge. So, therefore, going forward, this program will have to be leveraged well for improvement in bus operations. And the service level will have to improve to make bus service attractive. We must learn from our older bus stimulus program that happened during the January, if you recall that, many years ago. And we have to ensure that the program does not remain narrowly focused only on acquisition of buses, but use this to provide good services as well, to make bus service attractive. This will require additional investment in infrastructure in terms of depots, terminals, ITS for proper monitoring and passenger information service to improve the overall quality of bus service. You know, we had done one survey in Delhi NCR, and that has shown so clearly that majority in this region do not even have a bus stop within 200 meters of where they live. So it is just not about getting the buses, but it is about getting very efficient, well distributed bus service. So if we understand the importance of this strategy, if now we have got the support from the budget, we will have to make this work. Only then this important step forward can be the game changer.